In this video, I'm going to talk about how to create charts that dynamically update based on a dropdown. Here in my Excel sheet, I have a bar chart, and up top, I have this year dropdown, and when I select a different year, my chart automatically updates, and this is what we're going to create. Now, you may have seen charts that exist that do this, but there aren't that many how-tos out there for when your dataset has multiple instances of the same item. In my case, each year has multiple instances of the same item being sold. For example, 2019 has multiple sales of pencil, but this chart will also add up all those values and show it just once in one little bar. The best part is that this visual is going to need no updating. The entire thing is automated, and this can be a really good addition to a dashboard if you were to create one. You won't need a pivot table or anything too advanced for this either. Also, please subscribe if these easy how-to videos help you, and let's get into it. So the first thing I need to do is clean up the data. I'm going to start off right here. I've got the same source data, but I've got nothing done to it. And I'm going to clean it up so it's easier to work with. We're going to end up using some formulas, but don't worry, because once you do this step once, you won't have to do it ever again for your dataset. So in my case, I want my dropdown to be the year. In other words, I want to be able to pick what year it is and then have my chart update. If you have another category that you'd like to use instead of year, you can still do the same thing because the steps are going to be the exact same. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all my years from column A. And I'm going to paste them here in column G, but without the header. Now, while it's still highlighted, I'm going to go up into the Data tab, and I'm going to click Remove Duplicates, and I'll hit OK. This is going to show every year that exists in the dataset, but it's only going to show it once. Now, I want to create a dropdown. So in cell J1, I'm going to stay in the Data tab, and I'm going to go up into Data Validation. For the Allow, I'm going to do List. And then for the source, I'm going to select those years that we just created. And I'll hit OK. Now this just created a dropdown for me to select from those years. In cell I1, I'm going to write out the word year. And I'm going to put this in a box and add some color to it as well, just so it stands out and it's a little bit prettier. So I'll add a little box and I'll add a little light green color to it as well. Now in cell L1, I'm going to write out this formula and I'm going to explain what it does in just a second. So I'm going to write out equals filter, open up the parentheses. I'm going to select columns D and E because that's what we want to see. Put a comma. And then if column A is equal to the year, and I'll close that parentheses and I'll hit enter. And what it's doing is it's only displaying columns D and E, the ones that I want to see, but when column A matches up with the value that's in the dropdown. So if I hit 2019, this should automatically update. Now I'm going to go over to cell O1. And I'm going to write out the word item. And then in P1, I'm going to write out the word totals. Now I'm going to write a unique formula. This is going to tell Excel to analyze this data that we just created and only give me a list of unique items that are here in column L. Meaning I don't want duplicates. Right here I've got pencil shown 3 times. I don't want that. I only want the unique ones that don't repeat. So the formula goes like this. It's going to be equals if parentheses unique. I'll move my mouse so you can see what I'm writing. And then open up that parentheses, copy all of column L, close it. And you can just follow along with what I'm doing, and it's going to work for you the exact same way. Column L again. And then I'll close those parentheses. Now I don't have to drag this one down or anything because it's going to automatically create that list for me. But I wrote it in the form of an if statement because sometimes Excel will look at blank values and it adds a 0 there. So I'm just telling Excel here to leave the cell blank if it's a 0. For example, I've got this top one created and it highlights that range for me automatically. And you can see how this right here is highlighted because Excel wants to put a 0 here. It's looking at all these blank values here and it's going to want to add a 0. So I told it here in the if statement that if it's 0, just leave it blank. And if not, then show me the unique values. Now that we have that, I'm going to write a sum if formula in P2. And all it's going to do, it's going to look for these values here and then just add those up. So the formula is going to go like this. And again, just follow along. It's going to work for you the exact same way. And this is just a simple if formula, but I added an or because I'm telling Excel that if the value is either 0 or if it's a blank, then I want it to return a blank to me. And if it isn't, then go ahead and do the math and give me the actual numerical total value. So I'm going to drag this down a little bit more than I would need, just in case one of these years has a lot more total values here that populates. And you can see how I actually have a 0 here. I messed up the formula. This should be O2. And then now I'll drag it down. And there we go. That year, or I'm sorry, that 0 here is gone. Okay. So we're almost done, I promise. Now go to cell Q2 and we're going to tell Excel to figure out how many rows need to be graphed. This is important because if your list is dynamically changing and you have more empty cells in some cases and then less in other cases, Excel may go ahead and try to graph those blank cells, and it's going to leave you some manual work on the back end to delete, and it's going to make your graph look unorganized as well. But this is going to keep your graph perfect without you having to do any manual work on the back end. So in cell Q2, I'm going to write out this formula equals count A, all of column O, close the parentheses, and then do -2. Again, all it's doing is it's counting. I have a -2 because I don't want it to include that header row and also that blank or that 0 cell that populates at the very end. So it's going to look at all 5 of these, subtract 2, and then it gives us 3. And this is correct because it's telling me 3, and I do indeed have 3 items that were sold in my time period. 2019 has 3 right here. And then now the last formula I need is going to be in cell S2. This formula is going to tell Excel to look at the formula we just created in Q2 and then use that number and only graph those amounts of rows. Again, this is going to keep you from having to do manual work on the back end. So the formula here is going to be equals offset. We're going to do O2 and then hit F4 to lock it in, comma 0, comma 0, comma Q2 again, lock that in, comma 2, and hit enter. And now I can just select S2 and I can go up into insert and I'll do a graph. Let's just do a simple bar chart here. And Excel knows exactly what to do, and it graphs it just the way that you'd want to see it. If you were to graph this previous table that we created, this one or this one right here, you would see multiple different bar charts for Pencil. So every time Pencil was sold in 2019, you would see it here graphed out multiple different times. And that's just not clean or proper in my opinion. So now that this is here, you can alter it however you like. So let's just select one of these presets here. I think that one looks decent. What about that? We'll just stick with this for now. But yeah, you can alter this however you like. You can change the title. You can make the font a little bit bigger. Since these are dollar values, I'm going to highlight all of column T and make it dollars. And it's going to make these into dollars as well. And then if I change the drop down, then everything updates automatically. And there you have it. So that wraps up my video. If this helped you, then please do subscribe and be on the lookout for more Excel how-to videos. I'm hoping to help as many people as I can become data experts in Excel in the most easy to understand way possible. So that's it for today, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.